Welcome to Cam Look, your bi-weekly look at the Cincinnati Art Museum. Each Tuesday and Thursday, a staff member or volunteer will present an object from the museum's collection and pose questions for discussion. Please check back in on 10 a.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays for a new work and a new conversation. I'm Emma Hensley, the museum's tour coordinator, and I wanted to share L'Italienne, The Italian Woman by Vincent Van Gogh. Some of you, if you have been to the museum recently, have seen that the undergrowth with two figures by Van Gogh has been replaced by another painting by Van Gogh. The Italian Woman will be taking its place until at least February. The Italian Woman is visiting us from the Musée d'Orsay from Paris, France. Vincent Van Gogh is one of the most, if not the most popular, most written about artists of all time. Today we will be talking about a woman that he depicted 3 times in his life. The woman depicted in this painting is Agostina Segatori, born in Italy in 1843 and died in 1910. She modeled for 30 years and posed for artists such as Corot, seen in 2 different depictions, and Manet. She had a child with an artist, Edward Joseph Danton, and they separated quickly after. She purchased a bar and restaurant with the money she made modeling and called it the Tambourine. The Tambourine was known as a gathering place of the creative minds. She would also take artworks as form of payment and hang them in her restaurant. Van Gogh met Segatori at her bar, and they had a brief affair for 6 months. At one time, Van Gogh used the space for an exhibition for his Japanese prints. Seen in this painting in the cafe, Van Gogh depicts Segatori alone, supposedly drinking her second beer and smoking in public. This was seen as implying prostitution. However, she can be seen as a modern woman. She is a businesswoman and a single mother sitting in her own restaurant and earning revenue from artists that she poses for. Some French society had xenophobic responses to immigration. However, the French art world welcomed male and female Italian models. They believed that the models connected to subjects and artists of the Renaissance and historical antiquity. In The Italian Woman, he presents her in Italian peasant dress, the hallmark of the urban ideal pastoral simplicity. In the cafe, shows her as a bohemian businesswoman surveying her domain. In the third and final painting that Van Gogh completed of her, she appears in the restrained dresses of a modern woman from Paris. This story has a sad ending, as the Tambourine was in debt and Segatori became ill and passed away in 1910. Van Gogh wrote to his brother in 1887 saying, "You can be sure of one thing, and that's that I won't try and do any more work for the Tambourine. I think it's going to change hands too, and of course I'm not against that." He also said, "I still feel affection for her, and I hope she feels some for me, but now she's in an awkward position. She's neither free nor a mistress in her own house, and most of all, she's sick and ill." Specifically when talking about the work in the museum, he created this work after their affair. The painting is a nod to the scientific color theories developed by Neo-Impressionists, as well as Japanese etchings. The Neo-Impressionists theorized that complementary colors achieved high levels of intensity. Van Gogh used reds, greens, blues, and oranges to create crisscross hatching. He was quoted as saying, "to be able to express the terrible passions of humanity by means of red and green." The Japanese etchings motif creates the asymmetrical border and the dimensionality of Segatori in the portrait. She does not have shadows or perspective and has a monochromatic background of bright gold to accent the quick strokes of Van Gogh. Segatori was a brave woman who did not waver from what she wanted, either romantically or professionally. She created an environment where the creative minds could converse and display their works. These creative minds are some of the artists that have changed the way that we view art today. Her portrait will be up in Gallery 227 until at least February. I encourage everyone to go see the work and see how she brightens the room. If you wish to learn more about her, feel free to go to our Shift library and browse the chapter Agostina Segatori in the Immigrant Italian Models of Paris in Susan Waller's book Art and Migration, Revisioning the Borders of Community. Here are some questions for us to think about when you see Segatori's portrait. What are the flowers that she's holding, and what do they mean? Knowing what you know about her and Van Gogh's past, how does that change your perspective on her portrait? I thank you for watching, and we hope that we see you next week for a new work and a new conversation. Thank you.